The story of Daniel in the lion's den is one of courage, faithfulness, integrity, divine intervention, and ultimate triumph, found in Daniel chapter 6 of the Bible. It highlights the enduring strength of faith and the protection offered by unwavering devotion to God, despite overwhelming adversity. Following the fall of Babylon, approximately around 539 BCE, the Babylonian Empire, once dominant under the leadership of kings such as Nebuchadnezzar, had fallen to the combined forces of the Medes and Persians. Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, allowed his ally Darius the Mede to assume governance over Babylon, marking a significant geopolitical shift in the ancient Near East. This transitional phase was marked by political instability and administrative restructuring as the Medo-Persian Empire sought to consolidate its newly acquired territories. During this transitional period, Daniel emerges as an influential figure. Originally taken captive from Judah as a youth during Nebuchadnezzar's siege of Jerusalem in approximately 605 BCE, Daniel was among a select group of Jewish captives chosen for education and service within the Babylonian administration. His early experiences are chronicled earlier in the book of Daniel, demonstrating his unwavering dedication to his God, exceptional wisdom, and moral integrity even amidst pressures to assimilate to Babylonian culture. Under Babylonian rule, Daniel had steadily risen to prominence. His abilities, integrity, and divine insight in interpreting dreams and visions had earned him respect and high office. By the time of the Medo-Persian conquest, Daniel had already established a formidable reputation, acknowledged not only by his own people, but also by foreign rulers and authorities. The incoming Medo-Persian leadership recognized Daniel's value, retaining him as a trusted advisor. This was relatively unusual, as conquerors typically displaced or executed administrators from the previous regime. Daniel's continued prominence demonstrates the unique respect he commanded. King Darius recognized Daniel's abilities and exemplary character, promoting him to one of the highest positions in the kingdom, a decision that triggered jealousy and rivalry among other high-ranking officials. Daniel's consistent performance and unwavering ethical standards made him not only indispensable to Darius but also a significant threat to other ambitious officials, who viewed him as a foreigner and an obstacle to their aspirations. The socio-political context of the Medo-Persian Empire was characterized by rigid adherence to law and protocol. Unlike Babylonian customs, Medo-Persian decrees were considered immutable. Once a law was enacted by the king, even the king himself could not revoke or alter it. This distinctive legal principle played a crucial role in the unfolding drama involving Daniel. His enemies skillfully manipulated this aspect of Persian law, exploiting the irreversible nature of royal decrees to trap Daniel. Thus, understanding Persian administrative culture is critical to fully appreciating the plot against Daniel and the resultant tension. Additionally, religious pluralism was prevalent in the Medo-Persian Empire. The empire often allowed freedom of worship to various peoples, provided they remained loyal and did not challenge imperial authority. Daniel's religious devotion was generally tolerated as long as it did not appear to threaten the stability or authority of the king. The conspirators cunningly framed Daniel's religious practices as an act of defiance against the king, transforming personal devotion into a political accusation. Daniel's presence in such a high position as a faithful Jew posed unique challenges. While he skillfully navigated responsibilities to a foreign empire, he maintained unwavering devotion to his God. This dual allegiance, to God and to an earthly king, set the stage for a profound conflict of loyalties, underscoring deeper theological and ethical themes. Daniel's example served as a powerful witness to his contemporaries and subsequent generations of believers, demonstrating how faith and loyalty to God could coexist, even flourish, within the constraints and responsibilities of political power and secular governance. Daniel's unwavering commitment to his beliefs amidst these complexities exemplifies courage and faithfulness, offering profound lessons on the interplay between spiritual devotion and secular authority, applicable both in ancient times and contemporary society. The account of Daniel's integrity and the subsequent conspiracy against him vividly illustrates the complexities of political intrigue and the ethical challenges faced by faithful individuals in positions of power. As King Darius reorganized his administration, he appointed 120 satraps, regional governors, to oversee various provinces within his extensive kingdom, ensuring the smooth governance and financial accountability of these territories. To effectively manage these satraps, Darius established a tier of oversight by appointing 3 administrators, including Daniel, to whom these satraps were directly accountable. This arrangement aimed to prevent corruption, ensuring transparency and efficiency within the governmental structure. Daniel quickly distinguished himself among these administrators, earning widespread respect through his exceptional ability, integrity, wisdom, and incorruptible nature. His character was so outstanding that King Darius intended to elevate Daniel above the other administrators and satraps, effectively making him second in command and responsible directly under the king himself. Such high regard from the king, coupled with Daniel's foreign background and religious distinction, inevitably led to resentment and jealousy among his peers. Daniel's impeccable conduct and extraordinary skill posed a significant threat to the ambitions of his fellow administrators and satraps, who viewed him as an outsider gaining undue influence. Driven by envy and frustration, the administrators and satraps conspired to eliminate Daniel from power. Initially, they sought to uncover any negligence or corruption in Daniel's administration. They scrutinized his actions, searching thoroughly for any instance of impropriety, bribery, or failure in his responsibilities. However, Daniel's record was exemplary. His duties were performed with unmatched diligence, accountability, and transparency. Despite their relentless scrutiny, the conspirators failed to find even the slightest trace of wrongdoing. Daniel's impeccable character and unwavering commitment to integrity left no vulnerabilities to exploit. Recognizing that they could find no legitimate grounds for accusing Daniel, the conspirators concluded that the only possible way to remove him from power was to manipulate circumstances surrounding his unwavering devotion to his God. They understood clearly that Daniel's greatest strength, his uncompromising faith, could also become his greatest vulnerability in the context of political intrigue. Thus, the conspirators devised a scheme to use Daniel's religious devotion as a weapon against him. Approaching King Darius under the pretense of loyalty and reverence, the conspirators presented their proposal as a unified, respectful gesture to honor and consolidate the king's authority. They cunningly suggested that the king issue a royal edict, irrevocably binding according to the Medo-Persian legal tradition, which decreed that for a period of 30 days, no person within the kingdom could petition or pray to any god or human other than King Darius himself. Anyone violating this edict would face immediate punishment by being thrown into a den of lions. By proposing such an edict, the conspirators cunningly appealed to Darius's vanity and desire to assert his authority and unify his newly acquired empire. Unaware of the underlying malicious intent, King Darius saw this as an opportunity to solidify his authority and immediately signed the decree into law, sealing it according to the irreversible nature of Medo-Persian legislation. With the edict firmly in place, the conspirators had successfully created a scenario where Daniel's faithfulness to his God would inevitably lead him into direct conflict with the royal decree, placing him at severe risk. Daniel, fully aware of the edict and its grave consequences, remained unwavering in his commitment to God. His integrity was deeply rooted in his devotion to his religious beliefs, reflecting a consistency of character that was uncompromising even in the face of severe punishment. Daniel had always practiced prayer openly, demonstrating his faith without fear or hesitation. To the conspirators' delight, Daniel continued his regular practice of praying 3 times daily, openly and publicly, toward Jerusalem, signifying his steadfast devotion to God and his commitment to his spiritual heritage. Daniel's consistent actions provided the conspirators with precisely the evidence they needed to accuse him before the king. Armed with undeniable proof of Daniel's defiance, they promptly reported to King Darius, presenting Daniel's prayers as direct disobedience to the royal decree, framing it not only as a religious violation, but also as a blatant challenge to the king's authority and sovereignty. This calculated betrayal deeply distressed King Darius, who respected and valued Daniel. The king quickly recognized he had been manipulated into issuing a decree designed explicitly to trap his trusted administrator. However, due to the immutable nature of Medo-Persian law, even Darius was powerless to reverse the decree, placing both himself and Daniel in an agonizing predicament. The conspiracy against Daniel thus vividly portrays the tension between personal integrity and political maneuvering. Daniel's situation underscores the vulnerabilities inherent in positions of power when ethical principles conflict with political ambitions. This narrative illustrates how unwavering faithfulness to ethical and spiritual convictions can simultaneously inspire profound respect and incite profound jealousy and opposition from those threatened by such integrity. The meticulous plotting by Daniel's rivals highlights the complexities inherent in leadership, especially for those who choose to adhere strictly to ethical principles in environments often dominated by compromise and corruption. Ultimately, Daniel's integrity and faithfulness, although exploited by his opponents, become the defining qualities that set the stage for the extraordinary divine intervention soon to unfold. Darius made every effort within his power to find a legal loophole or any alternative solution that might spare Daniel from the penalty prescribed by the decree. He tirelessly searched for any possible avenue to rescue Daniel, indicating the high esteem and affection he held for him. The king's efforts, however, were futile. The conspirators reminded Darius that the laws of the Medes and Persians could not be altered or revoked, firmly asserting that the integrity of the law and authority of the king's word must be preserved at all costs. This moment underscores the critical tension between divine law and human law. Daniel's predicament powerfully illustrates the potential consequences of remaining faithful to spiritual convictions when human authority demands compromise. After exhausting every possible means of saving Daniel, King Darius reluctantly complied with the irreversible decree. Daniel was subsequently seized and cast into the lion's den, a punishment designed explicitly to ensure death. The den itself was a structure of confinement, often a subterranean cavern or enclosed pit, carefully secured to prevent escape or rescue. The lions were kept deliberately hungry, enhancing the certainty of a swift and brutal demise for anyone condemned. As Daniel was thrown into the den, King Darius expressed sincere hope mixed with anguish, saying, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." This statement by Darius reveals the king's recognition and respect for Daniel's unwavering devotion to his God, subtly acknowledging the possibility of divine intervention. Despite his official role in enforcing the decree, Darius's words conveyed a heartfelt desire for Daniel's miraculous survival, reflecting his deep respect and affection. A stone was over the entrance of the den, and sealed with the king's signet ring and those of his nobles, symbolizing the finality and authority of the action and preventing any possibility of external intervention. This careful sealing emphasized both the gravity of the situation and the absolute impossibility of Daniel's escape by human means. King Darius returned to his palace deeply troubled, burdened by guilt and anxiety. He spent the night in restless torment, abstaining from food, entertainment, or sleep. His distress underscores the genuine emotional connection he had with Daniel and highlights his internal conflict between loyalty to legal authority and personal conviction of Daniel's innocence. Darius's sleepless night vividly contrasts with the serene composure demonstrated by Daniel, whose trust in divine protection remained unshaken even within the lion's den. At dawn, driven by urgent hope and fear, King Darius hurried anxiously to the lion's den, calling out to Daniel in desperation. His emotional cry revealed his intense desire for Daniel's survival, tempered by fear of finding tragedy instead. Darius's anxious question, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" highlights his recognition of Daniel's devotion and implicitly acknowledges the power of Daniel's God, placing divine authority above human laws and threats. To the king's astonishment and profound relief, Daniel responded calmly and respectfully, affirming divine protection by declaring, "My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me." This revelation confirmed an astonishing miracle. Divine intervention had indeed occurred, visibly demonstrating God's sovereignty over creation and circumstances. Daniel attributed his deliverance explicitly to divine intervention, emphasizing his innocence both before God and the king. The presence of an angel symbolizes direct divine intervention, reinforcing the narrative's spiritual dimensions. Angels in biblical literature often represent God's active involvement in human affairs, conveying his messages, carrying out his purposes, or providing protection. After witnessing Daniel's survival and vindication, King Darius decisively acted against those who had maliciously conspired against Daniel, signaling a stark reversal of fortune and illustrating divine justice. Upon Daniel's rescue, King Darius swiftly ordered that those responsible for plotting against Daniel, the conspirators who had cunningly engineered his near execution, be apprehended. The narrative indicates that this punishment extended not only to the conspirators themselves, but also to their families, including their wives and children. Although troubling to contemporary readers, such severe and collective punishment was typical in ancient societies, intended both as a deterrent to future conspiracies and as a demonstration of the absolute power and authority of the king. The act of casting the conspirators and their families into the lion's den was not merely punitive, but also symbolic. The same lions that had miraculously refrained from harming Daniel, due to divine intervention, now violently consumed the conspirators immediately upon their entry into the den. This stark contrast powerfully underscored the reality of the divine miracle experienced by Daniel. The instantaneous fate of the conspirators revealed the true, inherent nature of the lions, predatory and merciless, validating that Daniel's preservation was genuinely supernatural. This swift and severe retribution emphasized several crucial lessons. Firstly, it vividly illustrated the principle of divine justice. Those who devise evil schemes against the righteous inevitably face severe consequences. The conspirators' punishment was an unequivocal vindication of Daniel's integrity and innocence, affirming his righteous character publicly. Secondly, the punishment of the conspirators and their families reflected the harsh justice systems of ancient Near Eastern cultures, where collective familial responsibility was commonplace. Such justice aimed at completely eradicating threats and discouraging further dissent or rebellion. King Darius's response to the conspiracy was likely motivated by multiple factors. His decisive action served as a stern warning against manipulation and deceit within his kingdom, reinforcing the inviolability and sanctity of royal decrees and the importance of loyalty and integrity among his officials. Moreover, his severe punishment of the conspirators highlighted the extent of his personal anguish over being deceived into harming Daniel, who was clearly favored by both the king and the divine. The intensity of Darius's response also illustrated his recognition of Daniel's God as powerful, actively defending those who served him faithfully. Additionally, the severe punishment of Daniel's enemies provided a clear demonstration of God's protective justice, reinforcing the conviction that God ultimately vindicates his faithful servants. Daniel's experience vividly exemplified divine vindication, revealing to observers that God does not overlook or ignore injustices committed against his people. Instead, he intervenes at decisive moments to deliver justice, affirm his servants, and establish moral and spiritual order. Following the remarkable events surrounding Daniel's deliverance from the lion's den and the swift justice meted out to his conspirators, King Darius was deeply moved and compelled to publicly acknowledge the supremacy of Daniel's God. His declaration, recorded in Daniel 6:25-28, served not only as a royal decree, but also as a profound spiritual proclamation that reverberated throughout the expansive Medo-Persian Empire. Darius issued a decree addressed to all peoples, nations, and languages inhabiting his extensive kingdom. This inclusive address underscored the vast influence and authority of the Medo-Persian Empire, signifying that the king's declaration would reach far and wide, transcending ethnic, cultural, and linguistic boundaries. This universality reinforced the significance of the king's acknowledgement of the God of Daniel, positioning it not merely as a localized event, but as a message with global implications. The decree called for universal reverence and fear toward the God of Daniel, explicitly recognizing him as the living God, whose kingdom and dominion endure forever. This acknowledgement was significant, contrasting sharply with the transient nature of human kingdoms and earthly powers. Finally, the decree served as a profound legacy of Daniel's unwavering faithfulness. Daniel, having prospered under multiple regimes, including the reigns of Cyrus and Darius, exemplified consistent faithfulness across changing political landscapes. His integrity, courage, and spiritual devotion left an enduring impression, influencing not only his contemporaries but also subsequent generations, who would reflect on the powerful testimony of his life and the royal acknowledgement of his God. Thus, King Darius's declaration following Daniel's miraculous deliverance from the lion's den serves as a timeless and profound acknowledgement of divine sovereignty and human responsibility. It illustrates how personal integrity, spiritual courage, and divine intervention can powerfully impact secular authority, shaping history, influencing cultural attitudes, and affirming profound theological truths for generations to come.